Hello everyone, welcome back to the BJ Show podcast and hope you are all well. Wherever you get your podcast, make sure you follow Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube as well. Make sure you follow wherever you get your podcast. So subscribe if you like this as well. Really make sure you join in and the BJ Show family. Really much appreciate that. My part is now done. Aiden has joined as well. Great to have B back in this studio last episode. Go and check that out. Right now, we are here for another week of the AFL. And that's all we are here for this episode. So, wow, I gotta say, let's get on because we got some show to share. All right, so I'm going to be sharing the latest footage show, and I'm going to show that we are complete round 14. We got game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, game 5, 6, 7. 4 teams are Kilda and Collingwood, Swans and Hawthorn. We will have our round 15 really soon. Alright, game 1, let's go. That between the Western Bulldogs and the Adelaide Crows. Alright, Marble Stadium. No one can see this coming at all. We have the Western Bulldogs and the Adelaide Crows before we get into the main part. Now, we have our general away, beautiful, nice Adelaide Crows jersey. The Western Bulldogs brought back an old school, which I personally, the biggest mistake you can have in football history. When you are playing good form and then you're having some struggles to lose by 57 points, you are in strife. You can't wear your old-style jersey in good form. You got to wear it for heart. And I'm going to say now, I'm going to get into my thoughts. The Dogs look flat. They were unfit. The Adelaide Crows, I'm making a statement. 9 goals to open up the quarter to 2. The Dogs look gone at quarter time. Adelaide kicked 3 goals to 3 goals. Basically, the Dogs won that quarter by only 3-1-19 to 3 goals to 20. 20 to 19, minus 1 point. Adelaide Crows get 12 goals free. That's accuracy. Days at Marble Stadium. Then the Crows get 4 goals won. Again, like the second quarter, but 1 goal in the third quarter. The Dogs kick 3 goals to the same one as at half 2 in the second quarter. The final quarter, the Dogs, again, 2 goals free. To the Adelaide Crows, the Crows, 5 goals free. 1 step better than second half was all over. And I gotta say, that's maybe the biggest margins in history at Marble for the Crows over the Dogs. That's all I'm going to say for the Western Bulldogs. The mighty Adelaide Crows, this is what we are talking. The Crows are a big deal coming in the second half of the season. We've had teams like the last time these two met at the Adelaide Oval. I went to that game and we look not great. The Dogs won by 6 points. The Adelaide Crows won 51 points. That's really what the margins are overall. It's a very disappointing season for the Dogs. They look really lost. They need to find somewhere. That's my thoughts. Adelaide, all the bets against the Melbourne Demons. Western Bulldogs, they will take on St Kilda. Be prepared. St Kilda got confidence, and I'll be sharing them that game against the Giants. All right? On to our next game on Friday Night Football in Geelong at GMHBA Stadium, Geelong and Gold Coast. We're now in Geelong, and I must mention just now, we are now at GMHBA Stadium between the Geelong Cats and the Gold Coast Suns. First up, Geelong, what is happening? They have gone back in good form, taking a very heavy victory, 15-15, 105. They actually put a 45-point victory to Gold Coast Suns, 8-12-60. Gold Coast look absolutely gone. What is happening? I thought I know a lot of viewers have put Gold Coast in their top 4. I put them just outside that top 4. I thought they were going to go one step better. But this is what the history of Gold Coast. They struggled. Can they get better? Yes, it wasn't easy against the Rain Plenties of their rivals, Brisbane Lions. I thought they were going to get better against Geelong. They look absolutely flat. Gold Coast do host Hawthorn. Gold Coast need to start thinking about their preparing for the second half, or they really will be in big strife. This must be a win for the Gold Coast Suns. Anything but fact Geelong, big winners, has them really difficult. They're going to respond after that loss against the Calm Blues and the Adelaide Crows. One in MCG and NSL Adelaide. Back at home home soil of in the Kilda Park means today's word GMHBA Stadium. This was a must wake up for Geelong Football Club. They moved on quickly. They knew how good Gold Coast can get, but they took on them like there was a practice game. Like I said to Geelong, well done on the win. Gold Coast, get back on the track. You got to find an absolute solution to get another win. It won't be easy against because Hawthorn be coming fresh after that bye. And Geelong, well, they will be playing Fremantle at one of the biggest tests of the season, and it will be in Perth. What entertainment you want to see that. Done is done. Now, I have not shared my player of the game. I'm sharing my player of the game, one player only for the game, like Aiden does at the end of the round. We're now heading to our game, number 3 MCG, last Sunday to Melbourne and Essendon at the Gala Round at the Adelaide Oval. Let's go to the first Super Saturday afternoon footy right now. As we continue, hope you enjoy. Give this a like, subscribe down below, hit that notification. Hope you enjoy it. That's the most important thing. Wherever you get your podcast, hit that following. If it's especially on Spotify, let's go around the BJ show a bit more. If you can, that'd be great. Our third game for the round. We are heading to the MCG. We are now in Melbourne. The second part of Victoria, we're in Geelong. Now we're in City. We're in Melbourne. We're in Marble. We're going to cross over back to Melbourne from Geelong. Now we're at the MCG. Melbourne defeated a nice victory. The last time these two met, Essendon took a very nice win. They got their revenge. Final scores 13-17-95, defeated 6-14-50. This is not just a win for the Melbourne Demons. They look very good. They are not just a team, Melbourne, to just come out and on fire. We'll start with Essendon. It's a road to rebuilding. It's the road to rebuilding. Where are Essendon's magic players? They are doing everything to show spirits. Now, I've got to say right now, Essendon did play. If they kicked straight in that final quarter, their possibility could win this game. But Melbourne took the answers of 3-3 to 7 behinds. Could have a lot of rain on as well. So how much Essendon, it's not been an absolutely easy season since Brad Scott's resigned from the role of head coach and moving on to a new coach. Who really wants to coach Essendon? They do have that week off. They are desperate for that week off to bring in the second half. Where's the Melbourne Demons? This is not just a confidence boost, but both teams coming off big winners. Adelaide over the Dogs by 57 at Marble. With Melbourne, 45 points. Maybe not great in kicking, but overall, that Melbourne got better of the use of the MCG. They got the great talent. Essendon, they need to keep your heads up. Stay in the contest. You never know what can happen. My thoughts is done. We're now going into our traditional North Melbourne's home game, back to back. What happens? Let's go now with North Melbourne. I take on West Coast Eagles. We're heading to Optus Stadium. I'm going to share this my advice. I understand what the AFL is doing with North Melbourne Footy Club, but why hosting games in Perth? I am not understanding. They are a suburb in Melbourne, but that's just me. Well done to North Melbourne. This is not just a wake-up call. West Coast had everything to win this game. With Harley Reid, Jake Waterman, chin up, mate. You are still a superstar, no matter what it is. It is a heartbroken to lose by a point, but the season's not over. You're having a good season with the West Coast Eagles. We know how good and important this is. 10-14-74, 10-13-73. The Roos took on a 1-point victory. Moving on from last week, but this is a wake-up call from Hens Oval at Fremantle Dockers. The best team in the comp. Then take on their other rival, the West Coast. They are rude to be built. They are proving that. But unfortunately, North Melbourne got the W. They got the chocolate. North Melbourne came out on top really well. But it was the back kicking spoiled them. 3 goals 4 to 1 goal 3. Number 3, that's it. 1-goal-free for North Melbourne. West Coast won. Well, West Coast kicked 5 goals 6 to 5 goals 6. So basically, it was that 1 point North Melbourne win. Well, that's my thoughts. On to our next game. I can't say too much, but we got a biggest one. I sort of watched this game. We're heading to Adelaide Oval between Port Adelaide and Sydney Swans. What a finish this was. Let's get there now. Alright, so we are now on to the Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide hosting the Sydney Swans. 13-12-90, 14-9-93. The soup of the Swans, hot in town. They take on and rebuild Port Adelaide side. I've got to say, Port Adelaide came out of the blocks, leading at half-time, leading at three-quarter time, 3 goals, 1 to 5 goals, 1. 12 points overall, but it was just a heavy victory for the Sydney Swans. They came from everywhere to get this W. Put Adelaide on the hand. Efforts, proving that you got a coach used to play for this football club and being assistant coach for some time. Now look at you done. You have proven you're still a decent side. Chin up, well done. Efforts all over. Port Adelaide, they will now travel to the MCG against the old rival Collingwood at the MCG Saturday night footy. And Sydney, well, that'll be a heartbroken victory. They take the week off. As well, West Coast, Essendon and Brisbane for round 15. I really think that Sydney are the best team. They're finding ways to win games, but not easy. You can't go past a heavy percentage favourites to the Fremantle Dockers. So that's my thoughts for this game. I really like to see more games. We've got 2 more games. Let's go now. Here we go, between the Richmond Tigers and the Brisbane Lions, and we're going to Hobart at Ninja Stadium. Almost there. Richmond take on the Brisbane Lions, and we're at Ninja Stadium in Hobart, where North Melbourne mainly play. So, making it short, Richmond good start, all good start for this rebuilding team. Skin 6 goals, 5 to 11 goals, 7. Big second half. Brisbane needs to work on their scoring. Well, the final score 12-8-80. Defeated 17-13, 115. Brisbane Lions, 35-point victories. Richmond taking that advantage to improve there. They're keying better goals. Well done, Brisbane, with that heavy, very much point win. You know, Brisbane have stayed in the game. They're getting better. They're keying accuracy. That's what we want to see. Brisbane, like I said, another win. They'll take that really important bye. With Richmond, even they had their bye already, they'll take on North Melbourne. And guess what? MCG, really a big boost there. North Melbourne, even though the host game's in Perth, they'll be back ready to go to tag on the Tigers. All right, final game. Here we go. This is all nice and sharp and smooth. Final game. Here we go. Return for the second time for Marvel Stadium. St Kilda and the GWS Giants. Final score here. 14-12-96. Defeated 12-13-10-88. Very big winners here for the St Kilda Saints taking the W. Share by quarter. Very even. Nothing but 3 points. 1 point margin at halftime for the Saints. 2 goals 6. 2. 1 goal 5. This is the biggest issue with bad kicking, bad scoring. 4 goals 2, 4 goals 2. Margin was only 1.2. 8 points are making it 8 points. Well done to the Giants. This is not easy because St Kilda find a way and yet everything in the bank. The next part I'm going to share is who's playing who. Giants will bounce back surely against the Carlton Blues, but Carlton coming off that bye. And we'll also have the Saints. They will be marching against the Dog at the same stadium. Very much similar time against the Western Bulldogs. We know that. Well done. And that's my reviews for round 14. 14 results is complete. Coming soon is on my round 15 reviews. It's now time to share all game 1 to 7, round 14, best player from each team. 1 player equals 2 players overall. Let's go to game 1 right now between the Western Bulldogs and the LA Crows. Western Bulldogs best player. Now, there were a lot of good players on the ground, in my opinion. Say not too much, say so as well. So the Dogs best player, I think he really dominated like overall, and some pretty tough decisions to make this player. But it's Richards from the Western Bulldogs, include 128 AFL fantasy, 1 goal, 28 disposals, 5 marks, 9 tackles. So this is partly what Richards is all. He really takes on and really perform. Now, with the Adelaide Crows Bears, there's so many stars that I want to pick more than one, but my intro did say only one each team. And I want to share it that the player of the game, he has done so much for this football club. He's gone to a new level. He's this a star. He's the captain for the Adelaide Crows. Jordan Dawson, 156 AFL fantasy, 3 goals straight, 32 disposals, 7 marks, 8 tackles. Well done to Jordan Dawson and Ed Richards from our player of the games this game. We're now flying into our second game, and that is Friday night football at GMHBA Stadium, Geelong and Gold Coast. Geelong's best player. There's been some tough ones on the market for Geelong as well for Gold Coast, and fortunately I was not able to watch this game. So my player of the game, it's a pretty tough one, but I can't go far showing Noel from Geelong Cats. 95 AFL fantasy, 2 goals straight, 12 disposals, 9 marks, 5 tackles. That's what it's all about. And our Gold Coast Suns best player is Noel Anderson. I could go past anyone else, but he's included 133 AFL fantasy. With the one behind, but that's okay, no goals. 29 disposals, 3 marks, 11 tackles, the most tackles stacks on the oval. Well done to Sean, Noel, and Noel Anderson from Friday Night Football. We go to our first out of 3 Super Saturday football. First up is Melbourne and Essendon. Melbourne's best player I have chosen to give, which is a pretty tough one, but he just continues to improve week in, week out. But I'm going to give it to Crossy Pickett. A domination for Melbourne is improved in, week out. 135 fantasy, 3 goals. We include 5 marks and 2 tackles. Another great performer from the Melbourne Star. Our Essendon player. I can't go through so many players want to improve their football, and fortunately one has not performed, but you gotta step up and when it really matters. So I am going to give it to a man that has absolutely gone up, which is the Essendon's player I chose is Sam Durham. Include 23 disposals, include 3 marks, 8 tackles, 97 AFL fantasy. Well done to Sam Durham and to Chrissy Pickett from the Melbourne Demons. Our next game, we are in the North Melbourne and the West Coast Eagles. Well, I really think it was the game of the round, but some really tough decisions to pick. But North Melbourne comes up first, and they take the chocolates here. But it was a pretty hard to keep. Players just keep improving. Should I chose that ruckman? Should I really chose that ruckman that has a big bet? Or should I chose that midfielder? I have chosen a grand performance, Harry Sicily from the North Melbourne Demons. North Melbourne Blues, 129 AFL fans, 1.2, 33 disposals, 7 marks, 5 tackles. Great performance from Hassie Sicily for North Melbourne. With the West Coast Eagles, it's really disappointing, but I think they will choose to improve, and I know how good West Coast can play. I have given to Jake Waterman. I can't go past. A player almost won the game for the Eagles. Jake Waterman included not 88 for AFL fantasy, 3 goals, 12 disposals, 9 marks, 2 tackles. Great performance from Jake Waterman. Keep improving week in and week out. I know that 1 point can be absolutely a pain. So, well done to the Jake Waterman from West Coast and has Sicily from North Melbourne Blues. Our net game and our net player we are going to be sharing, which is the Saturday night ball, Port Adelaide and Sydney. I have gone with Port Adelaide straight into it. There's been some really important performances from Port Adelaide. They need to really step up big time. But I'm going to go someone really have stepped up to his new style, and that's Jordan Sweet, the ruckman from Port Adelaide, include 35 hit-out, 98 AFL fantasy, 2.1s in goals, 17 disposals, 4 marks, 4 tackles. Well done, Jordan Sweet. From the Sydney Swans point of view, look, there's been some tough ones on the market, but Chat Winger, he include for the Sydney Swans, 100 AFL fantasy, 1 goal, 26 disposals, 6 marks, 5 tackles. There's been a lot of players have hit over 5+ tackles. You've done pretty well in an individual performance. Well done to Chan Winger from the Sydney Swans and Jordan Sweet from Port Adelaide. And our last 2 games is on the Sunday afternoon ticker they call it. We are at the Ninja Stadium in Hobart, Australia. Richmond Tigers and Brisbane Lions go head-to-head. Richmond's best player stand against the Brisbane Lions, the reigning premiers. They had a few to stand out. That's Tim Toretto from the Richmond Tigers. 129 AFL fantasy, 2.1 in goals. We have 29 disposals, 7 marks, 5 tackles. Brisbane's best. Theirs cannot go past Star, but if he got more tackles, I will put him as my player of the game. But this man can definitely dominate in goals. That is Will Ashcroft from Brisbane. 152 AFL fantasy. 2 goals, 3 minors. 38 disposals, 10 marks, 4 tackles. A grand performance from Will Ashcroft from the Brisbane Lions. And also, well done to Tim Toretto on your Richmond Tiger. Final game. We have St Kilda and GWS Giants. Best players. We start with St Kilda. And our St Kilda player holding on a heartbroken victory. Now, who earns it? Really, who earns it? And I'm going to give it to Jack Macca, included from the Saints star. 96 AFL fantasy, 24 disposals, 7 marks, 4 tackles. From the mighty Giants, the Great Western Sydney Giants. Well, there were some hard choices overall, but you got to be fair in lots of ways. And I don't know who to pick. It is so hard to pick a player, but I'm going to give it to, I don't give it to Ruck very often, but this man can definitely tackle, may not his personal best. Maybe I could give a midfielder to dominate. I have not heard his name for such a long time. But just to be fair, the midfield do win the battle of the forwards and the ruck hit it. So I'm going to give it to Carl Oliver from the GWS Giants, include 116 AFL fantasy. We include 35 disposals. 9 goals, that's a claim. He includes 5 tackles and 3 marks. A very good standard for the recruit from the Giants. He's really improved his football and he's happy. So well done to Jack Mucker from the Saints and the Giants. Colin Oliver from the Giants. I just may say that twice. Well done, all the best players. I'm doing it a little bit different this time. I'll be back soon with my top 5. If you like that part, well, make sure if you like, definitely subscribe because of that. Or even wherever you're following and listen to my podcast, Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you hit that following on Apple or especially in Spotify, because we can build that up. All right, that's my best players for round 14. Time to share round 15 reviews. Okay, it's now time to share my reviews. It's time to share my round 15 reviews. And there's some tough games. And the teams did have time off with Carlton, Collingwood, Freeland, Hawthorn. They're back on action for round 15. The teams where we now start off, it's Brisbane, Essendon, Sydney and West Coast. They deserve a nice break, especially one team than the other, really get their confidence back in the second half. So let's go straight over into game 1, who we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 games again. Let's do that right now. So, game 1, we have Fremantle Dockers are hosting Geelong Cats. What a game. This is a pretty tough one. I think Geelong are looking a bit shaky at the moment this time. And I think they'll be having due to a week off. I could be wrong. They might have had a week off. Even we had the buys for a few weeks in already. Let's just track back a few rounds back. So yeah, we've only had 1, 2, 3, our 4th week off. So Geelong will have our round 16. So who should I go for? It's a really Fremantle are just in great form. And I don't know, it's in Perth. This will be a great crowd. Hopefully be wet. It could be dry. It could be just cold, wintry football. Good crowd of Optus. I'm going to go for the home team, Fremantle Dockers, in a filler by 20 points. Our next game on our Friday night schedule has been a night double Fridays in the last couple of rounds, so I'm pretty happy with that. Gold Coast Suns are hosting for Hawthorn. Now, Hawthorn have come off a bye, and Gold Coast coming off with a loss against a very talented Geelong Cats in Geelong. People's First Stadium, it's Gold Coast home stadium. They're back. They do host Hawthorn, like I said. So it's going to be more favourite for the Hawks. I think they'll be back after that week off. They're also coming off a 6-point beat. So I'm going to really make it a tough decision to tip Hawthorn in a close one, but very similar. I'm going for a 10-point. Hey, we have Super Saturday football. We've got 1, 2, 3. 3 games like round 14. Okay, first game, it's the LA Crows and the Melbourne Demons. Now, this is going to be a really tough one. I really think Melbourne can come out on top and dominate it. Now, LA be coming off a massive confidence boost. They have been, they've got Isaac Rakin back in the side coming. Hopefully, he will success a pass in training. The LA Crows have Mark King coming off from a massive injury at pre-season. He'll be a massive in as well in the fence. So selection in Tex Walker will be off his suspension. So who's in, who's out for the LA Crows? We don't know, but Melbourne, great win against the Essendon Bombers. Essendon, regardless, is last time those two met, Melbourne didn't perform in Adelaide. So Melbourne's been struggling in Adelaide. Who should I go for? It's a tough decision. It's really one of the hardest games I can pick in my opinion. So I am going to be Adelaide Crows by a very nice victory here. They're going to go and win, hopefully, take a 5-goal victory, 32 points over Melbourne. So we're now on to our round 15 continues. We're heading to ENGIE Stadium in the west of Sydney. Now, this is another really tough one. Like Josh Fraser, is he going to be their new head coach for the Carlton Blues? They look pretty good, I've got to say. But Giants, they learn from the loss. They will not go back-to-back in a double loss. And I'm sticking to the Giants. I think they're back at home. They're very good. They beat the Brandy Premiers a few weeks back. I think they had a week off. Carlton will be coming off bye. So they'll be fresh and ready to go. Giants lost there, and the Giants had a bye. So in between the Giants and the Blues have their bye. So they'll be fresh and ready to go. It's a tough decision, but I'm sticking to the Giants, and I think they're going to win by 20. It's going to be interesting. Why did they decide to put this Saturday night? I really don't know. But both teams are playing absolute not the best. Port Adelaide almost having a win there. Collingwood are a bit shaky. Big time, they need that break. They'll be coming off that bye and ready to go. They'll be firing up. Port Adelaide holding off a big win there. Collingwood 2 weeks ago, Keen's birthday, absolutely ready. Now, how much did Collingwood Adelaide's game? There'll be some interesting stuff. Port Adelaide will come out firing. I think they have a chance of beating Collingwood. Now, I don't like either of these two teams. I'm not a fan of them, but I have friends and family go for these teams. So I'm not going to go against anything against. But in Melbourne, MCG, Collingwood faithful, sticking to Collingwood to win this game. And they'll win by 16 points. I reckon that Port Adelaide will come out and then Collingwood in the second half will have to go fire. Now, we don't know it's going to be wet, cold, all that, the above, but it's going to be some tough choices, and always have tough games to play in these games. And yeah, I'm sticking to, like I said, at the MCG on Saturday Night Football, Collingwood to win this game. Got our last two games. One's at the MCG. We got one at Marble Stadium. We got two, not just three, but 4 Victorian teams on Sunday afternoon football. The first game at the MCG is the Richmond Tigers and North Melbourne. I got to say, Richmond supporters, come and support your team. You almost took on a very good in Brisbane Lions, having an interesting season. I tell you right now, yes, you only even lost by 35 points. That is a brave effort against the reigning premiers. Back in Melbourne, both teams back return over on the road. North Melbourne hosting 2 games, one at Hens Oval in Broadbury in Western Australia. Then following at the stadium against, their 2 Western Australian teams. North Melbourne, Fremantle, followed by North Melbourne, West Coast with the W. Who should I go for? It is maybe one of those teams are going to come out. Can Richmond come out firing in the second half? They're staying contest. That's what they need. I'm sticking to North Melbourne to win this game, and they'll win by, in a tough one, I think it's going to be 21 points. I'm not saying team to win and explode, but yeah, like I said, North Melbourne, 21 points. Okay, last game. And may I mention, we done 2 out of 4. We're now 4 out of 4. We got St Kilda and Western Bulldogs. Can't say too much. St Kilda by, how much St Kilda really wants to win this. How much the Dogs want to respond. They are absolutely disgraceful. This is not the Western Bulldogs I've seen, and overall. From Thursday to Sunday, they'll be ready to go. They'll be more fresher. It will have a flat days at the office, but you can't not against the LA Crows thinking they're not in form. They will lose. Now, with the Saints, big winners there, but given opponent, they all know that. But how much that, both teams, one's got absolute flog, one just took the W. Who's in front? Overall, I'm sticking to the Saints. I think the Saints will try. They'll start well, they will destroy, but it won't be a big margin. I think the Dogs will really scratch their paws and really get Luke Badger's boys up and about. But the Saints, I think they've got a better skills. They can win by 10. I'm going to be a bit nicer here, and hopefully it'll be a really, really good game. There's it. Thank you so much for your listening. I hope you enjoy it. If you like it, where you're listening on the podcast, get that following on Spotify and then Apple Podcasts, or however you follow your podcast. As well, if you can like, subscribe as well, that'll be so awesome. Thank you so much. The BJ Show is out. That's all, folks. We'll see you on the next one. Peace out.